We can't see anything, guys. There we go. Welcome back, everybody. David Aaronson is joining us back on the show. David, if you guys have followed the show, he is the founder and CEO of a company called Refuel Electric Vehicle Solutions, REVS for short. They got the logo right on your shirt, David. I need one of those. Welcome back, man. How you been?
It's been a hot summer, but generally been really good. Watching
It
our
really
business
has, man.
grow. Yeah.
Yeah, down there in Houston, I mean, it's 100 degrees all the time, isn't it?
I think
During the
we
summer.
finally have broken that pattern, but it was a long time coming. It always is.
David, is it, if it's hotter outside, do cars charge faster? If it's colder outside, do they charge slower? How does that work?
Well, I think certainly it's no different than than anything. If it's hotter outside, the battery's going to have to work more. So yes,
Yep.
that certainly cuts into the mileage that we get. And the same thing if it's colder. If you need to run a heater, the battery runs off of a heater, and if you're needing to heat your car when you drive, it's gonna hit the mileage that you can get.
Yep. I gotcha. So everybody, David's business is installing electric vehicle charging stations at multifamily properties. You guys are all over the country. How do you, David? You guys are reporting on the billing and the usage on these stations. How do you get that transparently over to the management at the multifamily complex?
So it's actually pretty simple, because every one of the vendors that we do that we put up their charging equipment, they all have portals, and our clients can sign into those portals just like we do. So we give them access to that portal, and they can pull up the information if they are interested in seeing what's happening.
Gotcha. So it's live daily as people are using the charging stations. They're watching the ticker.
Exactly. If they want to, yes, we are.
Gotcha.
I can tell you that's what we do. So
yeah.
since we've paid for it all, we're very interested to make sure that it's being used and they're working and all that. So
yeah. What kind of data is important in these reports, and what types of reporting templates are people looking at to try to understand the usage?
Well, I think it varies depending on who your audience is. If you're someone like me who's trying to make money off of the refueling, obviously the most important thing I want to see is how often it's being used. And I also want to understand what time of day it's being used, and how many different customers are using the machines. I can get all that information off of a portal. If I'm a ESG consultant for a property owner, I'm going to want to know how many kilowatts have been used, and I'm going to then want to translate that into how many gallons have been saved of gasoline.
Oh, cool.
So it just depends who your audience is, I think, as far as the information you want to get off of this.
Right. And how much can you tell about the user that's plugging their car in? Can you tell what kind of car they are? Or I guess you can tell unique individual users.
Pretty
really?
much.
Okay.
I can see, the VIN number on the car. So I can keep track of how many times they're charging.
Interesting.
One person's charging. I can find out what time of day they're charging. I can understand those habits. I can, I find out how many kilowatts are used with each charge. That's important to me, because I don't want people going in and using my parking space all night long and only taking 10 kilowatts. I want them to get a meaningful charge. So, and not block somebody else who may need the charger more. So there's a lot of information I can get off of these things, probably more than anybody needs.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, VIN number on the car, that's wild. I didn't know you got that much data back, but I guess it makes sense. How are there any like unique things that you found as you've cut the data over the last few years? You guys have been doing this for a while now. What are some interesting, kind of things you've pulled out of this of the data you're looking at?
Well, I mean, look, I think it's interesting how many people, you know, what they use, how long they use the machines for. I think that's interesting
Hmm.
because you know, of course, we want them to go as long as possible. You know, other information is time, what time of day they're charging. Okay.
Hmm.
Some of these states that have really hot temperatures, in fact, probably most utility companies have time of use charging, and it allows them to, when the grid is being stressed, increase their rates. And
Mm.
so
Yep.
you want to know when the user is using, if it's being used during those time frames, obviously we want to increase our rates or turn the machine off so that we don't lose money on that machine. So you know,
Oh,
that's
wow.
the kind of information we're looking for.
So if you're turning the machine off, does that, I mean, that's going to upset a resident, right? When they think they're going to get to
It
charge their car and
may,
they can't.
it may, or the question is, if I leave it on and I increase the rate during those times, are they going to be more mad that they're paying high rates, which
True.
isn't my fault? It's not my fault, but you know,
Right.
sometimes the rates are, you know, really high, and it just depends on the utility company. It can get
Yep.
obscenely high during those times of day.
Can it really? So do you do apartment complexes provide this as a free service for residents, or do they charge the residents back for this?
Well, it started off where all of them were doing it for free. But free
Hmm.
isn't free because they're having to pay for the electricity. And
Yep,
so
exactly.
we've seen more and more apartment owners switch to a model where they can make money
Yep.
off of EV charging business, or of course engage us, and that's what we do, is we are looking to make money off of the EV business, just like people who own gas stations are looking to make money when they
Sure.
sell gas. I
It,
don't have the benefit of, or the cost or the burden of having a little convenience store that I need to run where I can make my
right.
profit. Okay, selling a bag of potato chips for $5. So I have to make what I make off of the charging stations.
Yep. That's interesting. So I don't have really any concept of how much it costs, I guess, per kilowatt hour when you're charging something. But let's just say, the total cost is 10 cents for, however long it was plugged in. If you're making a little money off of that and the apartment complex wants to make a little money off of that, do you think is it 2 cents is it 2 cents you're marking up, 2 cents they're marking up? Is that kind of a fair thing, or is it less than that? What
Well,
does that look like?
generally speaking, when we come in, we'll mark the cost of the electricity up 2.5, 3 times what our cost is. So if our cost is 10 cents a kilowatt hour, we'll charge 30 cents. And we
Okay,
will give the property owner a percentage of the profit
got it.
that, if that property produces any profit.
If it produces any profit.
I
So
mean,
you guys, so
not huge.
potentially it may not.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't have any EV residents, which some properties
Well,
don't,
right.
then it's not going to get used that much. And we generally need about, you know, before these machines turn profitable, you generally need two people charging about, you know, two people who average about 700 miles a month and driving, using this as their
Okay.
primary charging stations. You probably need this charging station to be used about an hour and a half to 2 hours a day.
To be profitable. I mean, that's not a long period of time. It seems like that would get used a lot for, decent sized apartment complexes.
And we have them all over the board. We have some that aren't getting hardly any usage, and we have some that are just, you know, busy 4 or 5 hours a day.
Yep. Is there any geographical area or any, I guess median rent price for an apartment that you're going to, guaranteed you're going to see more usage than somewhere else?
Well, I think right now, we're seeing it more in the Class A apartments,
Right.
but Class B plus, we'll see them in Class B. You know, as the industry evolves, you're gonna have, I mean, we're already starting to see more lower price cars come into the market. We're
Yep.
seeing resales of existing cars, and those buyers are generally gonna be in the B apartments.
Right.
And so, we also get a lot of more incentives in some of the, lower income areas where you put these charging stations. So, you know, we're a
Yep.
long-term business. You know, we
Yep.
don't mind putting a charging station in a property where we may not see usage for a year. We don't like it, but
Yep.
cost of ownership is very low once we get the
Right.
station.
So let's just roll it out, and if you build it, they will come. One more
That's,
question,
and
David.
we see that, and
If
we see that happening in almost all these properties.
yeah, if there is, one more question on kind of the billing side of these things. Like, if there is a billing dispute, it sounds like it's pretty easy to solve because you guys are. I mean, it's pretty transparent. This is how much power we use. This is how much we paid for it. Here's the spread.
You would think, yeah, you would think it would be very easy, Andrew, but these companies, many of these companies that are in this industry are new companies, and they're still trying to get their procedures down. So
Yeah.
sometimes, I mean, we check it all. We can pull we know how much each station's being used, and sometimes when we look at what money they send us, it doesn't add up. So we do
Yep.
check all that. That's something you get when you do business with us. We're always looking.
Well, Dave, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Refuel Electric Vehicle Solutions. If you're a multifamily owner and you guys are planning projects, you guys are probably one of the biggest in the space now, David. So you've had a lot of great success.
Yeah, we're up to over 100 properties, Andrew, in our network.
That's
We're
amazing.
all over the country where we own and operate EV charging stations and looking to grow it.
Well done. Good stuff. Well, David, thanks again. We'll see you next week. We'll be right back, everybody.
Appreciate it. Thank you.